Hola, buenas tardes. Soy Andrés González Reynoso, alumno de sexto semestre de la carrera de Negocios Internacionales y me encuentro aquí con el doctor Alan Philip de la Universidad de Bath, Inglaterra. A pleasure to have you here with us, doctor.
Very nice to be here and to have such a good welcome.
So, first of all, which topics have you covered and will you cover in this visit to the campus?
Well, I'm primarily going to talk about European integration, and that will include the euro, the single market, competition and trade policies of the EU, business strategy. But I'm also going to look at some other topics, Scottish and Welsh nationalism, I'm talking to high school students about, and I recently published a book on China and Latin American relations, so I'm going to talk about that as well.
All right, and we'll get to China in a minute. Yeah. So first of all, since you were last here in 2011, a lot of the global and European panoramas have changed.
Yeah.
What would you say has been the biggest achievement of the European Union these last years?
Well, in the short term, the biggest achievement has been to hold the Eurozone together and to keep the Euro running. So over a slightly longer term timescale, I think the really important achievement of the EU has been to bring in 12 countries from Central and Eastern Europe and to safeguard their democratic status and to make them fully functioning market economies.
All right. Last year there were some hurdles in the EU-Mexican agreement relationship. I don't know how do you feel if this will be of any hindrance to the overall relationship?
I don't think so. I think, we have concerns about human rights concerns, and indeed, we in Europe have got to work out how far we are prepared to sacrifice our own rights for the sake of greater security. So we have a common problem, and I think we do understand that there are some difficulties. But I think the basic willingness is to make sure we have a strong relationship with Mexico. Mexico is one of the up-and-coming developing economies and is a very important player worldwide. And the EU wants to do business with Mexico, and we have a free trade agreement with Mexico, and long may that be the case.
All right. Looking overall at the Latin American bloc, what would you say is the short-term outlook for the relationship?
Well, one always says that there is so much potential. And sometimes this is not realized quickly. But I do think that the auguries are very good. If I have a problem, it's with some of the developments in Argentina. But I know very well that the kinds of problem that we might have in Europe with developments there are also of great concern to countries like Colombia and Mexico and Chile. So, of course, what's going on in Latin America is colored by the perverse economic policies of Argentina, but Argentina is by no means the whole of Latin America, as you well know.
Definitely. Yes. So moving on for a bit to China, which you have talked about. What would you say Latin American countries or any other country can learn from their strategies which you have talked about?
Well, I mean, it's really important because China has been a very big factor in the recent economic success of so many Latin American countries, and you have to acknowledge this. It's really helped generate jobs, wealth, and raise the game of so many Central and South American countries. But there is a problem I think a strategic problem, if there is, if the Chinese factor essentially controls the way all the countries of Latin America develop. I mean, in many cases, they are the biggest foreign investor and the biggest trading partner already. So this is not fantasy we're talking about. And what I see as being really important is that these Central and South American countries develop stronger trading links with each other as a counterweight to the interesting development of trade and investment with China. So that they are not so dependent on what China does or doesn't do. And in trying to make that happen, I argue that Mexico has a very important role to play.
Right, perfect. And on for a bit to a topic of particular interest to myself, which is the recent unpegging of the Swiss franc in relationship to the euro.
Yes.
How do you think this will affect the overall stability of the eurozone?
Well, it's been a shock because the uncapping of the Swiss franc came without notice, as these things often do in the financial markets. And the market has perhaps overcompensated. But in the great scheme of things, I don't think it will be that influential. I think more of a problem might be what happens in the Greek elections next weekend. But it may mean that the euro is a little less strong in relation to other international currencies, because so-called hot money can go to Switzerland in a way that it couldn't before, or it didn't feel it wanted to. And so you could argue that if the euro is slightly less value than it was, this will make it easier for the Eurozone countries to sell their goods to other parts of the world. So, there is often a silver lining.
Yes. And last, to close up, what can you tell us about the collaboration projects between Bath University and Tecnológico de Monterrey?
Well, I come at an interesting time because the University of Bath has signed an exchange agreement, student exchange agreement with Tecnológico de Monterrey, and at the, if you like, the central level. And what has to be decided is exactly which campuses students will go to and come from Mexico to Bath. So that's an interesting situation. This, of course, was the purpose, one of the main purposes of my previous visit. It has taken a while, but I think we are nearly there. What is also interesting is now we are talking about possible staff exchanges as well.
Okay, definitely an interesting topic for everyone listening. Yeah. So thank you very much for your time, Doctor. It's been a pleasure.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for the interview.
Thank you.